Hey, everybody. If you haven't yet, please check out our daily report, our Sports Center style scoreboard show that features high school, college, and professional sports news in Central Indiana, 1 p.m. every weekday. You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, podcast number 237.3, the football report with new Kokomo head coach Caleb Small and Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Caleb Small. I'm here with Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader with new Kokomo head coach Caleb Small. Getting used to the new colors, coach?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've worn any type of blue. I got to wear navy blue in college at Marion University, and never any red though. So it's it's a lot different color wise, but it's been a really good experience to start off here.
I was going to say, I know. Well, you were in purple for a long time between Ben Davis and Northwestern.
Yeah, I was in purple for 7 years, believe it or not, and I
Wow.
couldn't imagine ever wearing purple growing up. But yeah, I wore it for 7 straight years. It was kind of nice, moving schools with the same color. I could keep the same shoes and all kinds of things, so that was good.
The Kokomo program is one that has a great tradition, of course, and has
Yeah.
been lately kind of really close. Do you believe you can take that program to the next step?
Yeah, one thing that was really intriguing to me was just the state of the program. Coach Colby and his dad did a great job and in building what they wanted to build it as, and had a lot of success. And we look forward to hopefully having just as much success, and if not more, and trying to take it to the next level. And at the end of the day, we all dream of winning state championships, and that's something we've never done before in the IHSA tournament. So that's always going to be our goal as we start the season. And then we understand that just because that's our goal, that's not necessarily the only thing we're going to get out of it, and that the process in mind is what's going to get us there. But it's always our goal, especially at a place like Kokomo with rich tradition. We have great resources, we have great kids, and we have a great staff, and our community really gravitates towards athletics, and that's really really cool.
And a really good athletic department.
Oh, absolutely. Mr. Sale, man, he does a great job. We have a great camaraderie within our coaches, which speaks volumes to him. And our principal, Mrs. Blessing, is really involved with athletics. She barely misses a game. I feel like if you go to any kind of sporting event, she's there, and it matters to everybody at Kokomo. It really does, and that was an intriguing part of the job. In some senses that it's important to have success in athletics at Kokomo High School, and that's fun to be around. Fun to be around people like that you know have the same goal in mind as I do.
Well, Coach, I mean, off to a great start. You've got a lot of guys committed in the weight room. I know first competition you went to, you won. Am I not correct? A weightlifting competition?
That's a
Yeah,
good
we
sign.
went to Lewis Cass. We actually did this last year. Was our first year doing the lift competition. Clayton Mannering at Lewis Cass started it back up. We had done something similar in high school, actually. When I was at Hamilton Heights, we actually hosted the lift competition every year, and Lewis Cass would come, and that's when Clayton and I were opponents, if you will. And he started it last year, and we continued it this year. He allowed us to come. Kokomo didn't go last year, but he allowed us to come just because of our relationship. And we were there with three other teams with Northwestern, Western, and Hamilton Heights. And so we had a lot of fun, and we competed. That was the fun thing to watch. Just our guys to get juiced up, compete with each other, and interact with each other, and truly invest in each other, and try to get some PRs in the weight room, which is what we strive to do. When I got there in January, we put them through a tough stretch there from January to the end of February. So it was fun for them to kind of let loose and see how much better they have gotten.
You talked about your staff. So is it a mix of from some staff that was there before and some you brought with you?
There's a really good core of guys that actually are in the building in a lot of different capacities that were with Coach Colby. There are some, some of them are more of a supporting staff where they're not there all the time, but they're there when they can be, and especially in the season, they'll be around as much as possible given their work scenarios and their family scenarios. So there's some people that have came, 4 or 5 guys that have came with me just from personal relationships and other experiences. And then we have, I believe, 6 or maybe 7 guys that were at Kokomo previously, and they bleed red and blue, and so they're going to be at Kokomo, and no matter who the head coach is, and they take a lot of pride in this place, and that's the first thing that I noticed out of these guys is in anything I've asked them to do, if they think it's right for the kids, and then the pride of their community, they're going to do it, and they've done a really good job adjusting to change. It is different. It's always going to be different with the new staff, new head coach, and they've done nothing but show up and work their tails off and be really good for our kids.
How much have you already started watching some film? Because I know going from Northwestern to Kokomo, one, it's you're going up, classes too, but different conferences and different competition. I'm sure you haven't seen a lot of who's on Kokomo's schedule.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different schedule too. Our conference schedule with this is going to be very similar, as it was last year with our last 5 games being conference games. But our first 4 games are actually quite a bit, somewhat different. Where we open with New Pal. We all understand how
That's
good they
fun.
are, and in the program, yeah, and in the program that they have, I believe they have 19, maybe 20 of 22 starters returning to their roster next year from their state championship run last year. So that's pretty impressive
And
with
how
Coach
many
Ralph and what
Division
he
One?
does.
And how many of those are Division 1 athletes?
That's a good question, but I would say there's
You-
a slew of them. That's a good,
yeah.
that's for sure. So that's going to test us early. We're going to go and ask our kids to go compete and see where we end up, and we're going to know where we stand after that game. And we're not going back down. And I think it's going to be a really good test for us. We're going to see exactly where we are, and then we actually we play Terre Haute South, we play Monrovia, and we play Jeffersonville the next 3 weeks
Oh,
after that. So we've got some
interesting.
different, yeah, some we'll be everywhere in the state of Indiana. So it'll be fun. With those first 4 games being kind of open for us, there's always some different things we can do with our schedule, which is kind of cool. We're not really
Yeah.
locked into a 9-game schedule every year, so there's some
Yeah.
there's some challenges to it, especially with Mr. Sale and finding openings and good opponents to play and things like that. But it's also pretty cool to be able to do some different things each and every year if you can.
And I know, and you talked about Mr. Sale, but it's got to be nice going to a program where you kind of have an SID, and I mean, couldn't ask for a better one than Dean.
Dean is unbelievable. I've got to see all of his work just in print, if you will. I get to see how he did basketball in a sense. It's similar type of thing. Um, he's incredible. You don't get that type of stat work. Number one, at the high school level very often, and you sure as heck don't get the social media presence that he provides as well. And his just support. He's there to support us, and he helps the head coach. That's for sure. There's a lot of things that head coaches try to get off their plate, and he can definitely check a few of those boxes, which is huge.
As far as high school SIDs go, he and Pat McKee were in a league of their own. So, um,
Yes, absolutely.
it's really is a blessing to have that at your availability.
Not yeah, no doubt, no doubt. He does a great job.
All right, Coach. Well, last year led Northwestern to a really, really nice season. I know it had to be a really tough choice to leave there. Why ultimately did you make the decision to jump just a few miles down the road?
Well, yeah, it was a hard decision. Northwestern, the people at Northwestern treated me so well, and I had zero reason to leave, to be quite honest with you. That's what probably made it the hardest is the people that I got to meet just in the short time that I was there. They were outstanding for me. They're very supportive. Parents were great. Administration was great. So, you look back at it, it's like, well, should I have moved or not? To me, the challenge at the 5A level, ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to coach the highest level possible. And I felt like this was a good segue into a program that was very well established, where it was a little bit different in taking over Kokomo than it was Northwestern, and both in their own respects, it was good for me. At the end of the day, I thought it was going to challenge me uh, as quick as possible to become a head coach at one of the highest levels and coach some really good players. And then again, it's important to Kokomo and the community and the school, to the administration, to everybody that athletics are important to them, and having success in athletics is really important to them. And I enjoy being around that atmosphere.
And speaking of athletes, you have some special ones expected to be back on your team next year. Some underclassmen from last year's really good Kokomo team.
Yeah, we have quite a bit coming back. There's definitely some voids in the style in which we're going to play is going to be a little bit different. So there's going to be some new faces. A guy like Jeremiah Young to me is a special athlete. The way that he works in the weight room and the work that he puts in just in the off season, and then mix that with his God given abilities.
Yeah,
I
his
believe he's going to
genetics.
his genetics. Yes,
Yes.
he's gonna have a great year in my opinion. He's exciting to watch. Yeah, because of all that. He's a good football player. He's going to be in a kind of a different position than he's been in offensively at least. But I believe he's going to have a good year. We expect big things out of Barris.
Mm,
You know, Barris had a good year last year. We're going to use him in multiple capacities. We're going to expect him to play on both sides of the ball as well. So he's definitely one of our best athletes coming back. As a basketball player, he can move, and he can move, and he's got ball skill, and we're excited to coach him. And then our tailback, Brixton Morse, is coming back as well. He's over 1,000-yard rusher last year. Um, some things
yeah.
with him uh, on and off the field, and he's actually maturing in a really good way, in a steady way, that I firmly believe that he's going to have a good year and a breakout season and have a lot of fun and be really good teammate, and so we're excited about that as well.
And if you don't mind, real fast, talk about the talent that you left behind at Northwestern because I know you were excited about some of the young kids there. Wow.
Yeah, I really was. One of the reasons that I took the Northwestern job, actually, probably one of the biggest reasons that I knew we could be successful, because we had a quarterback that was going to be a freshman, who was a true quarterback, could be a really good player in my opinion, and that's really important to the offense that we run. Colin Cook, he's going to be a sophomore. He got to make one start last year against Whitco, and I believe he threw for 7 touchdowns. He was
I was
like the
going to
max
say
threat.
about
Yeah.
800 yards.
Yeah, yeah, he had an incredible game. He's an exceptional talent. I hope he's working hard. I know he is. He's a multi-sport kid. I was, I think he's going to have a really good year. But more importantly, he's going to grow and have a really good career at the end of it, I believe.
Can you get the school board to get together and move the district lines out a little bit and encompass a little bit of Northwestern there and get all of them?
Those kids were so really, so great and I love coaching them all. The one thing that was fun to see when we got the Lewis Cast Lift competition is I got to see them all
Mm.
for the first time since I had to be the bearer of bad news, and that was really special to me. Both of our eyes light up really when we saw each other, and we put a lot of time in together, and so. When you spend a lot of time and invest in people, it's hard to leave them. And those kids, they've got a great opportunity with Coach Turnipseed, and he's doing a great job already, I know. And they deserve he deserves their full support because he's going to do a great job moving forward in that program.
Coach Small, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it. And we look forward to following the Wildcats coming up this season.
Yes, sir. We're really excited. I appreciate you having us on.
Thanks so much to Coach Small for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report and to Michelle for helping out with the interview. And thank you for listening. If you'd like to see the Central Indiana Sports Report continue to grow and thrive, please share these segments with your friends and family. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of iTeaching Media, and I love Susie.